There's an incredible amount of bass playing you can do with just 5 notes. It's the pentatonic scale. There's a minor, major version and a couple of blues versions as well, and I'm going to teach you that in this lesson. If you're a 4-string player, stick around because you can use these shapes. I'm going to dive straight into these shapes. So what we have here is C Minor Pentatonic, and you have the names of the notes here. And then this version of the diagram has the interval structure, which I'll go through in this lesson. There's a backing track, I'll play through that and explain the chord progression and why this works as well. Just a quick explanation of these fretboard diagrams in case you don't know what they mean. The red blob is the root note, okay, and you've got the note name in there. You've got the strings going horizontally, frets going vertically, and then you got the note names, and the blobs are where you put your fingers. There are actually quite a lot of shapes going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 5 shapes of the minor pentatonic scale. That's one common way of looking at it. We're going to start on the 1st fret of the B string, which is C. Here we go. Let's do the shapes one by one. The next shape, E flat. We're going to return to that because if you put the red blob on that E flat, we now have an E flat major pentatonic scale. It contains exactly the same notes as the C minor pentatonic scale. They're related. So we'll come back to that. Next shape. Those are your 5 shapes going in this direction across the fretboard. You really must also know it across one string. Doesn't even matter where you start. Let's do it on the C on the 5th fret of the G string. You have a minor 3rd distance. Then 2 frets away from that, a whole step, another whole step, and another minor 3rd. If you stop there, you have a very symmetrical pattern. And there's your octave. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, this time with the backing track, just to make it sound a bit more musical. It's very slow, at 70 beats per minute, around this speed. So 8th notes are 1 and 2 and 16ths, 1 E and da 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 da. So I'm probably going to use that to speed things up a little bit. This is a very good time to pause and talk about the chord progression and why every single one of those notes worked. So this is a chord progression in the key of C minor. So the first chord is C minor 7. That would be your arpeggio. An arpeggio notes played together is just a chord. So every chord has an arpeggio that fits. And actually, if you just look at the first octave of a minor pentatonic scale, it contains all the notes of a minor 7 arpeggio. That's why it's a very useful scale. The next chord is E flat major 7, F minor 7, G minor 7, A flat major 7, B flat 7, or sus2 actually I put in, but all of those chords fit to the key of C natural minor. That's how you harmonize a scale. All of those chords fit and then you put them in different orders and hey presto, you have a chord progression. Since it's all in one key, if you were to do a solo, all of this fits. I'm going to demonstrate that with the next set of diagrams. So this is like a pentatonic lesson. You've got minor pentatonic, major pentatonic coming up, but blues scales as well, right? And what that is just the same scale as the one we've just looked at with one note added in. In this key, the note is G flat, which G is a perfect fifth, or just a fifth you can say. Flatten that, you get a flat 5. I'm going to go through the same shapes now, playing the C minor blues scale. So what I did there is I just played those box shapes all the way up, and then towards the end I decided to use these notes to make up a bass solo, and that was going to be the next portion of the lesson. What do we do with these notes? Well, if you have a piece of music in one key like this, using diatonic chords, diatonic just means from the key, then you can literally just play just that same bunch of shapes anywhere over the chord progression and it will sound good, you know, you'd have a solo there. That's what I was doing. Now 4-string players amongst you may notice I didn't even really touch the 5th string at all there when I was just soloing. So, you know, if you started from the C on the 8th fret, in fact played any of these shapes, just ignoring the 5th, the B string, you would have a set of shapes that you could use on a 4-string. Equally, if you had a 6th string at the top, then you could just continue these shapes and have a few more options. But what was I doing, you know? I was sort of phrasing. I was using hammer-ons, slides, passing through those blues notes. I did a bend as well. So this is on the F. Wherever there's an F, there's a G flat a half step above it. So you can bend to it. So I'm organising these notes into bass solos. That's one way of doing this. The other thing is just to use pentatonic scales over every single chord, but playing a bass line, which is probably what we're doing 99% of the time. So any pentatonic scale can be used. So minor pentatonic for minor chords, major pentatonic for major chords. I think what I'll do actually is I'll go to the next set of shapes and show you this, and then I'll demonstrate that. So what we've done here is I've just taken the red blob, the roots note, and I've moved it from C to E flat. Notice that the notes are all exactly the same. That's because C minor and E flat major are related. They have the same key signature, in this case B flat, E flat, A flat. So you know that first shape, starting on the C, sounds very minory. But now I'll go from the red blob, I'll go from the second shape, and if I play from there now, I can hear Sajuk in there, right? What we'll do now is we'll go through the chord progression, and I'll just make up a, well, first of all, I'll just play a pentatonic scale up and down over each chord. C minor pentatonic for C minor, the C minor chord, E flat major pentatonic for the E flat major chord, and then F minor and G minor I'll play F minor pentatonic, G minor pentatonic, and then A flat and B flat major chords I'll play the A flat major pentatonic, B flat major pentatonic. So 2 scales, and I just match up the major one to the major chord, the minor one to the minor chord. Now what about fills? I'm going to do the same thing now, probably simplify a bit more, but my fills now are going to be returning to that C minor pentatonic, C minor blues thing. Whenever I do a fill, it's going to be that. See, I didn't do much there, but that's that shape there. So that's one way you can use this, the overall key. Use that pentatonic scale or blues scale to do fills. Whilst we're at it, let's look at the E flat major blues, because there is such a thing as that. So it goes like this. It's that G flat again. This time it's a flat third. That's your blues note. Now, on a major pentatonic scale, here's a shape that's really useful that I love. Just pentatonic, that little fragment there. You go E flat, F, G in this case, so first finger, shift across. That's just the first 3 notes of a major scale. And then to your 5, 6. Really do know the interval numbers. And I didn't really say that earlier, but this version of the diagram shows the interval patterns. Triangle refers to a major interval. So you've got a root, major second, major third, perfect fifth, and major sixth. And notice that where the red blob is, the root note, E flat, you can just start it there. So here's another one. We run out of bass there, but so one good thing about a 5-string, you have a few more notes available to you in any given shape. Here is filling in the gaps with a blues note, so you just do that. If you pass through that blues note, it sounds bluesy. Especially using hammer-ons and pull-offs. Or even a bend. The real point to take home is that you're using the same notes whether you're in E flat major or C minor, because they're related keys. So in terms of how to learn all this stuff, let's focus on the very first shape that we saw. So there's that method where you just treat it like you've got 5 shapes going this way across the bass. That's method 1, I guess, is to learn your 5 shapes. Obviously make sure you know the interval structure of the scale. Make sure you know the names of the notes, the distances between them so you can get there. Learn the sound of it. The first bit sounds like Smoke on the Water. And then you've only got 2 more notes. And then it's the octave. When you're walking down the street, just sing that sound, hum it, whistle it. and then get that blues note in there. There it is. Definitely know the scale going up from a root on the same string. And also descending. You really can learn it as a pattern. This one's 3 frets away, or a minor third, a whole step or a major second, another minor third, another whole step. You know, whatever way you learn it, go up and down one string. That lends itself to a slightly different way of playing. Then you can do anything that you think of. You'll probably find patterns that I haven't mentioned, but I was doing a lot of 2-string stuff. If you do want to dive into the pentatonic scale a bit more, I've got this lesson right here for you. Do make sure that you click the link below so that you can download the backing track and the PDF. If you got something from that lesson, please give the video a like and do subscribe to the channel. Any questions, leave them down below. See you next time.